all schools are different sizes, but like doing side projects either on your own or even with like two or three group members or like friends, it's always cool to do that because it shows that you, like as I mentioned before, it shows initiative, but you also take a lot away from it, and you're able to showcase that on your resume. So my first year, it's interesting because there's like an official title as mentorship, and something like Bank of America did is I saw like one of my coworkers, my mentor, because I was like, they're teaching me every day about like how to do UX UI stuff, and it was the only coworker I had, so I worked with her a lot. But Bank of America like matched us with like someone in a completely different department, completely different job, I guess, just to give us more like career direction or talk about the business. So that's how it was at that company. And at the women's health tech company, it's funny because I interpreted my mentor as like the founder, who was this, because it was like a new company, and me and the other engineer, but I was more interested in like learning about the startup world, and, like PM stuff and like her day to day. So I'd see her as my mentor. At Disney, it really does vary based on like what business segment you're on. So like if you're in Imagineering, they have their own entire program. If you're in Disney Streaming / Disney Studios, which I was in, I got paired with someone in my product but on a different team. So she was on the web team. Similar to like the Bank of America experience, I saw the people I worked with directly more as my mentor than the person who was like officially named my mentor. It was funny because they called it buddy here. I'm not sure if they do that with like, because we're getting new interns this upcoming summer, so I'm not sure if that's still something they plan on doing. But yeah, mentorship is I feel like it depends on how you define mentorship too, because even though my coworkers were my coworkers, I still saw them as my mentors, I guess, like more than my actual official mentor. And I guess another not an official mentor is obviously my manager. My manager is like a huge advocate for me, which is something I'm really lucky with, because I've read and heard about stories with people who've had managers who weren't like that. And like my manager like pushed me to go to Android Dev Summit. He encouraged, like when I first came here in July, he was like, okay, like I put you on the list for Grace Hopper to represent Disney. So I was able to attend through that. So I'd see him as one of my bigger mentors / advocates. But I do have an official mentor. I don't know why I call it unofficial. I guess yeah. So I do have a mentor, for example, that I met at a Woman at Disney. So I'm involved in different employee resource groups, which I basically call like extracurriculars, like but at work. I met someone at Woman at Disney, and we kind of really connected well, even though she had a completely different job than me, and she's like writing her own book about like business strategy, and it's like so interesting how I can get advice from her, even though we're in different, like I'm in tech and I just started, and she's been at Disney for 30 years. So it's really interesting to get like her experience and like learn from her, honestly, and just learning about her job and her like things she did in her career that maybe I'd want to apply. She's really helpful with like me getting it. It's honestly helpful getting advice about things from people not directly on my team, product, or specific, like I guess engineering. So that's been something helpful in terms of mentorship. For those who don't know what the Grace Hopper conference is, it's like one of the biggest, I mean, I guess like the biggest, if we're officially like following the numbers, women in tech conference. So it's actually funny. So throughout college, I went 3 times, which is a lot for just someone who was in college. But that was my way of getting internships too, and like connecting with the companies who didn't recruit for my school. And I went one time as a Disney employee, which was interesting because it was me being on the other side, where before I was like trying to talk to recruiters and like make myself stand out, and then going as a like not a recruiter but as a technologist, but I was like acting as the recruiter because we wanted to hire for our internship. It was funny because I was like being on the other side, but also hearing what people say that makes them stand out, versus because like, you know, like I was talking to a coworker who also went, and they're like, wow, you don't realize how like different people are, but also how similar, because we're all in tech and trying to like just work at Disney and be in tech. So I think last year they had 20,000 attendees, and like all the biggest tech companies are there. It's like one of the biggest events, and there's always like nonprofits, and like graduate school programs that also go there if that's something people are interested in like exploring. They have representatives in the career fair, but they also have like the speaker sessions going on. So it's actually fun because there's so much going on. And then in the evenings, all these companies are hosting happy hours to try to meet more people. And it's just like super tiring, but it's like really fun and obviously empowering to be surrounded by that many women in tech, even though it's not restricted to just women in tech. But yeah, there are definitely other conferences. And now that I think about it, a lot of conferences offer student scholarships, which is what I took advantage of, especially when my school was like, okay, like you've been going to too many, like we have to like spread the funding sort of thing. So I definitely encourage, especially if you hear about a specific conference, a lot of them you can hear through like LinkedIn or Twitter. But oh yeah, I totally forgot to talk about LinkedIn. But yeah, so you can hear about it from there, and then just looking up scholarships is something that would be really helpful. LinkedIn is also obviously another big one, and like connecting with people there. And something that someone told me, which I thought was interesting, was like, don't just like, this can be taken with a grain of salt, not accepting every like member LinkedIn request you get, just because like say someone's looking at a person they're willing to hire, and then they see that I'm the mutual person, they're like, and they'd reach out to me and be like, hey, can you like tell me about this person and like to what capacity you know them? And then like I look at it and be like, oh, I like did one group project with them. I feel like I can't talk about like the entire like how they would be in a workplace after doing that one group project with them. So just like be aware of that. And that's something that ever since I heard about that, I started being consciously aware. Mine looks pretty empty just because most of the jobs and things I've had, I've signed NDAs, which a lot of companies and recruiters understand if it's blank, but just like putting your title and the company you work at and like the time is really helpful as well. So yeah, that's like my overall career advice. I really do hope that it helped some people who are listening, and if anyone's interested in me having to check out their resume review or are interested in learning more about Disney is still hiring for internships, so feel free to go through there.